Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thems and theys, to the podcast Daddy Variety Show, the show that has no rhyme or reason, just things in season. Now here's the host with a wiener to match his demeanor, the podcast Daddy.
These last couple months, I've been going to my local library and going into the classical literature section and picking out books that I've heard about through my lifetime, but just never really gotten around to reading it because, not gonna lie, kind of was a dick off in high school, and I really didn't find the appeal of these books. But here I am now, looking down the barrel of 29, and I thought, I don't want to grow up and be one of those adults that thinks being stupid and uneducated or not knowing classical works is a major part of who I am as a person. Where somebody asks me, hey, have you read Grapes of Wrath? Have you read How to Kill a Mockingbird? So on and so forth. I cannot be one of those people that irritates the shit out of me because I never know where the conversation will lead. I never know where to go with that primary conversation with that person, because it's like, okay, if you don't know what these books are, or if you don't even want to take a smidgen, like a tiny minuscule molecular level decision to spend, I would say maybe 15, 20 minutes a day reading a book, I don't know how to have a conversation with you, and I'm not going to go out of my way to do it. So what I started doing was going to the library, going to the classical fiction, and picking out books. The first one I got was Of Mice and Men. That was the first big grab I wanted to get because I've heard so many good things about it. And it's a short story, only about 150 pages, if I'm correct. There might be one where there's an extended version out there, but I just got one that my local library gave to me. Absolutely loved it. Of course, every time that something happened, and I can't remember the characters' names. This is why I need to make these after I read them. But when the final scene of Lenny asking George, like, hey, tell me about the rabbits, and George is just sitting there getting ready to pull the gun on him, you were just I started tearing up because that was a very heartfelt moment, because in the beginning we hear him using that to try and calm George or calm Lenny down, just be like, you did something, but let's work through it. Let's do this again. I'm going to tell you why we're doing what we're doing. And then for all of this stuff to happen in between. And then at the end, when all of the men of the barn are hunting Lenny and they're like, we're going to hang him. And George is like, I can't watch the person I was supposed to take care of have that happen to him. So I will do it. I will shoot him. I will take care of him. It was a very, very, very sad fucking ending. I would recommend it to anybody who didn't read it. I know I gave away the ending and what happens, but I mean the book is almost damn near a couple decades older than I am, and I'm 28, so I can only assume that book has been out for a long fucking time. The next one I got was Lord of the Flies, and in 50 fucking pages, I mean, I read through that, and I read it a couple times because it wasn't sticking. Nothing was sitting in my brain enough to where it would make me want to keep reading. I tried. I looked up videos, and there were people that were just sucking the dick of this book, calling it one of the best books that changed their life. And it probably didn't help out that at the very beginning, it got an intro from Stephen King of how this book made his life different, how it changed it, how he used it to figure out the things he wanted to write in his stories. We are just so excited about... It's a boring fucking book. Okay, it takes way too much into exploring the island that they're on. Like, they give such in-depth, big worded details about the scenery, and I do not, in every ounce of my being, from the longest hair on the top of my head to the scrawniest microatom on my fucking toe, do not care about an over-explanation of the scenery. And I understand people will come at me and say, oh, well, that's just world building. That's all that is. You know, you need to understand the world around them so you can picture it better. I genuinely don't care, because it's, if you were in English class, and of course, they have to teach you about metaphors, but they do it in the most stupidest of fucking ways. And I was in AP English, so, like, I've heard all of the stupid shit they use to explain stuff. Like, the blue curtains are blue. Well, the writer could have easily said the curtains were blue to summarize his depression or his sadness that was within himself, and that's the only way he could convey it, instead of being a normal fucking adult and saying that he was blue. When in all actuality, the writer's like, no, I just had to think of a fucking color for the curtains, and blue happened to be the one I could think of. And I feel like that's what this book does, and I am not going to waste my time on a book that feels like my time isn't valuable, and giving little interactions with the children that the main book is supposed to focus on. Like, you get a maybe page or two of interaction, and then fucking explaining the landscape. Who cares? It's just going to be a whole me bitching about the landscape, and that's fine. I might try and read it when I'm done with Grapes of Wrath. Who knows? And the last book that I got, which this one I'm only 50 pages in, and this one I'm going to stick through to the very end, because even at 50, I'm still wondering what's going to happen next. I am very intrigued by this story, because I've always held this thought of fuck corporations, fuck corporations and fuck the people that are supporting it. And I'm getting to the point of the story where they're talking about farmers wanting to shoot the people running the equipment that's getting used by the bank. And the guy's like, it's not my fault. Like, it's not my fault that I have to come and do this. I'm just getting paid to feed my family. If you really want to take somebody out and, make them suffer for what's going on here, go to the banks. Go to the big corporations that gave you the money for this, because I promise I'm not the one that's doing this. I just want to be able to feed my family tonight. That's it. And it makes me think about, because this book was written and it's supposed to be part of the 1930s Great Depression era, but thinking about it here in the year 2024, the year of our Lord and Savior, it makes you really think that things are still this way, where somebody will do what they're paid to do, but nobody ever wants to go out of the way for the corporations. Nobody ever wants to go and hunt the people that are running these fucking corporations, that are paying people to destroy livestock and fields and farms of the hardworking people. But no, we don't want to hunt down the big government agencies. We don't want to hunt down the big corporation leader heads. No, we want to continue sucking the dicks of those people, because maybe if, we do a good enough job, then they'll split a little bit of their wealth with us. They'll give us a little bit of their money. That's all we need. So maybe if we're nice to the big corporations, they'll give us the money that we so desperately need from them. Oh, my fellow countrymen who have spent years and years raising families, building barns, planting crops, wanting a perfect life just to be left the fuck alone. But it can't happen because of big corporations, big banks. And I love the way that it gives sort of a personification to these corporations. It doesn't call it like the bank. It just calls it the monster, because in all actuality, that's all these corporations are just monsters. And the fact that I'm only 50 pages in and it's already hitting with such a hard statement, it makes me more and more prepared to read more into this book. And I know this is a very, very old book. It was published in the 30s, so I know there's going to be a lot of sort of, I want to say, themes that I might not be able to comprehend as somebody who's always been born in the technological age. but I want to give it my all because I feel this one deserves every little bit of respect that it has. Unlike Lord of Flies can suck my ass. It was boring. It's wholeheartedly boring, and if you say it's not, you are a fucking liar. Said what I said. Come and fight me about it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Podcast Daddy Variety Show. If you want to follow my slow descent into madness, go follow me at twitter.com/enoughsnuff. I also do live streaming on Twitch and Kick, which is twitch.tv/podcastdaddy, kick.com/podcastdaddy. And those are really the only things I really use. So if you want to follow me, do it on those websites. Oh, and to follow that up, Dark Charm Media is releasing new content almost weekly to monthly to bi-weekly. If you haven't checked out Dark Charm Media, anything Dark Charm, definitely go give it a listen. Not only will my story Persona Mortis be on there, but you will also get stories such as Fun with Dirt, The League of Ridiculous People. There's a lot of great stories that come on Dark Charm Media, and I feel it as an injustice to not mention it at least once an episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to another episode. If you liked what you heard, please tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell that random guy at the bar that flirts with you, and you're not going to offer him any ass, but you know if you tell him something, he'll go listen and make it his new favorite thing simply because you got a nice set of tits. And if he knows that you listen to it, and he knows that he listens to it, you might show it to him. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day, have a wonderful evening, and as always, it will be getting colder, but that still doesn't mean we're going to have heat waves. Please, for the love of God, keep your balls clean.